Don't Look Up. The critics may not love it, but its status as the #1 movie on Netflix should say quite a bit about it. A satirical comedy directed by Adam McKay, my interest in the movie was initially piqued when I saw David Sirota, who I believe to be one of the best investigative journalists of our time, and definitely a political ally of mine, promote it, and I realized that he co-wrote the story for the film. After watching the movie, I can say that I really like it, and that I certainly recommend you check it out if you haven't yet. I will say this though, if you came into this video expecting me to give you a point-by-point summary of what happens in the film, you'll be disappointed, since that's not what I intended to do with this review. I'll just give a brief rundown of it. Scientists discover a comet that is heading towards Earth, and after some reluctance, and a sex scandal, the president eventually agrees to take action to stop it. However, after a meeting with a billionaire megadonor who wants to exploit the comet's rare earth minerals for profit, she decides that capitalism wins yet again and aborts the mission, thus leading to mass extinction. That's all I'm going to say about the movie for right now, because I think by now you've heard enough about it to understand what it's about. But even if you haven't, once again, I encourage you to watch it, so I don't want to give away too much here. However, one of the main talking points from Sirota regarding his promotion of the film is him describing it as a film addressing the climate crisis, or more specifically, the lack of attention or care people in power are giving to it. Despite Sirota's messaging, the movie does not address climate change at all throughout its 138-minute runtime. However, it was indeed what inspired him and McKay to create the film, as the latter explains.
Talking to a lot of people and scientists, and I kept looking for good news. Right. And I never got it. Everything I was hearing was worse than what I was hearing on the mainstream media. And so I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a journalist, David Sirota, and we were both just like, can you believe that this isn't being covered in the media, that it's being pushed to the end of the story? There's no headlines. And Sirota just offhandedly said, it's like a comet's headed to Earth and no one, it's going to destroy us all and no one cares. And I just was like, that's the idea.
And the parallels between the actions, or lack thereof, of the fictitious administration in the film and those of the real-life administration are striking, despite stressing the need to get off of fossil fuels while on the campaign trail.
Would you close down the oil industry?
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a
because
big statement.
I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
Here's the deal. But
That's
you
a
can't
big
do
statement.
that. Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies.
While in power, administration officials have refused to even reconsider their plan to lease over 78 million acres in the Gulf of Mexico for oil drilling, claiming that the most recent IPCC report, which has been described as a, quote, code red for humanity, quote, does not present sufficient cause to do so. In fact, his administration has approved oil drilling permits at an even faster rate than Trump's. The similarities the film has to the politics of the real world do not end with climate change, however. The U.S.'s horrific response to COVID is also alluded to multiple times, as even medical professionals have pointed out. And both of our most recent presidents have continuously downplayed the severity of the pandemic, albeit to differing extents. While Trump straight up ignored briefings on the dangers of the virus could pose in the early stages of the outbreak, Biden has apparently abdicated much of his responsibilities regarding its handling, saying there are no federal solutions, and he refuses to support basic common sense policies like Medicare for All, which experts have concluded would have saved countless lives from the virus. This is where the name of the film comes from. Don't Look Up is a slogan used by the president and her allies in order to encourage their supporters not only to literally not look up at the comet, but also to ignore the supposed alarmism from those seeking to destroy the comet before it reaches the planet. In both aspects of climate change and COVID, the film also addresses the argument that many use against implementing strong solutions to these catastrophic threats. What about the jobs? Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has stated that the irreversible and damaging impacts of the climate crisis may lead to all these amazing job opportunities, while more recently, Dr. Fauci has admitted that the reduced recommended isolation time for those infected with COVID is motivated, at least in part, by a desire to have these people get back to work. And while a worker shortage is the reason those in power want them to come back to work, if they still have the virus even when they return, that could likely lead to more infections, causing an even larger worker shortage. This mindset, one of using a clear and present danger, such as climate change, a pandemic, or in this case of the film, an impending comet, to create jobs, which is really not much more than an excuse to make the rich even richer, as these jobs are exploitative in a hyper-capitalist system, is a pervasive one amongst the ruling class, and one that plagues any hope of making even minuscule progress on these issues. Of course, the film ends with the comet destroying the Earth and most of human civilization, but not before the Just Look Up movement, which the aforementioned Don't Look Up movement originated to counter, was started by the two scientists who discovered the comet. This is an admission that the people are the ones who will save themselves from impending doom, and that we must take action to save our generation and those who will come after us. It's no easy task, but those in power have proven they have no desire to do their jobs, and if enough people band together, saving is possible, and that is the message of the film at the end of the day. Overall, Don't Look Up is a fantastic movie that addresses its point about how the rich and powerful are leading the human race closer and closer to extinction incredibly. While it is indeed a heavy and at times depressing experience, it is a film that can hopefully spur a sense of action within the body politic as it exposes the truth about those who we are led to believe represent us.